There is a moment, and you may have already lived it, where the world you thought you understood quietly splits in two. Not with a sound, not with a warning, not with some dramatic event that makes the evening news. It splits the way dawn splits from night, so gradually that most people are still dreaming when it happens. And by the time they open their eyes, they are standing on one side of a divide they never consciously chose, wondering why everything feels different, wondering why the people around them seem to be speaking a language they no longer understand. You felt it. Maybe you could not name it. Maybe you still cannot. But something in the texture of your daily life shifted, and no one around you seemed to notice. And that silence, that gap between what you were experiencing and what everyone else seemed to be experiencing, that gap became its own kind of evidence. Evidence that the split is not coming. It has already happened, and you are already on a side. Now, before the mind does what it always does, before it rushes to categorize this as conspiracy or prophecy or wishful thinking, stay with me in the territory of what is actually observable. Because the phenomenon I want to walk through with you today is not mystical in the way that word usually gets used. It is not vague. It is not abstract. It is rooted in something so concrete that physics has been wrestling with it for nearly a century. And the implications of that wrestling match have never been more relevant to your lived experience than they are right now. Let me start with something specific. In 1957, a physicist named Hugh Everett III submitted a doctoral thesis that most of his colleagues thought was absurd. His advisor, John Archibald Wheeler, believed in it enough to shepherd it through, but the physics community largely ignored it for decades. What Everett proposed was a solution to one of the deepest puzzles in quantum mechanics, the measurement problem. And his solution was so radical that it sounded like science fiction. He said that when a quantum system faces a measurement, when a particle that exists in superposition is finally observed, the universe does not collapse into one outcome. It splits. Both outcomes happen. Both are real. But they happen in separate, non-communicating branches of reality. He called it the relative state formulation. The world came to call it the many worlds interpretation. Now, I am not here to argue whether Everett was literally correct about parallel universes branching every time an electron is measured. That is a debate for theoretical physicists, and they are still having it. What I want you to notice is the architecture of his idea, because that architecture maps onto something you are living through in a way that no one is talking about clearly enough. Everett's insight was this: the split does not require anyone's permission. It does not wait for consensus. It does not announce itself. It simply happens at the point of measurement, at the point of observation, at the precise moment when a system that could go either way is finally looked at. And once it happens, the two branches cannot communicate. They are both real, both valid, both continuing, but they are no longer part of the same story. Feel that for a moment. Two realities, both real, both continuing, unable to reach each other. And the thing that determined which branch you ended up in was not effort. It was not merit. It was not luck. It was observation. It was where your attention was at the moment the measurement occurred. This is the framework I want to hold as we walk through what is actually happening in the world right now, and more importantly, what is happening inside you. Because there is a split occurring in human consciousness that follows this exact architecture. It is not metaphorical. It is not a figure of speech designed to make you feel special. It is an observable divergence in how human beings are processing reality itself, and it has been accelerating for years, and it reached a kind of critical threshold recently. And if you are watching this, if something in the title pulled you here, if the words "chosen ones" did not repel you, but resonated with something quiet and persistent in your chest, then you are already on one side of that divergence. Not because you were selected by some external force, because of where your attention was when the measurement happened. Let me be precise about what I mean by the split, because this is where most conversations about this topic go wrong. They frame it as good versus evil, awake versus asleep, enlightened versus ignorant. And while those frames feel satisfying, they are actually a trap. They keep you in the same binary thinking that the split itself is dissolving. The real divergence is subtler than that, and it is more interesting. And understanding it accurately is the difference between navigating what comes next with clarity and stumbling through it with spiritual arrogance. The split is not between people who know the truth and people who do not. It is between two fundamentally different relationships to uncertainty. On one side of the divide are those who have learned to metabolize not knowing. They can sit in ambiguity without reaching for a premature conclusion. They can hold two contradictory ideas simultaneously and feel the tension without needing to resolve it immediately. They can watch their own beliefs dissolve and experience that dissolution not as a threat, but as an opening. Their nervous system has learned, often through suffering, often through the kind of dark night that no one would voluntarily choose, to treat uncertainty as information rather than danger. On the other side are those for whom uncertainty is intolerable, not because they are weak, not because they are less intelligent, but because their nervous system, their conditioning, the entire architecture of their meaning-making has been built on the assumption that reality is fixed, that truth is singular, that identity is stable, and that the ground beneath their feet is solid. For them, the dissolution of certainty is not an opening, it is an annihilation. And so they grip. They grip tighter to ideology, to identity, to tribe, to narrative, to anything that promises the solidity that is disappearing. And the tighter they grip, the more rigid they become. And the more rigid they become, the less they can perceive. This is not a judgment. This is physics. This is what happens to any system that resists the phase transition it is already inside of. It does not avoid the transition. It just experiences it as destruction rather than transformation. And here is where Everett's architecture becomes viscerally relevant. These two groups, these two ways of relating to uncertainty, they are no longer speaking the same language. They are no longer operating in the same reality, not because one is right and the other is wrong, but because perception itself has diverged. They are literally seeing different worlds while standing in the same room. And like Everett's branches, the communication between them is becoming increasingly impossible. Not difficult, not strained, impossible. Because the instrument of communication, shared meaning, has split. You have felt this. You have been in conversations where you said something that felt obvious, felt true, felt grounded in direct experience, and the person across from you looked at you as though you were speaking another language. And you were. You were speaking from a reality that has already shifted, to someone still standing in the reality that is dissolving. And the words were the same words, but the meaning underneath them had diverged so completely that understanding was no longer a matter of effort. It was a matter of which branch you were on. If this is resonating with something deep in you right now, Take a moment to hit that like button and subscribe to this channel so we can continue exploring this territory together. Now let me go deeper. Now I want to go deeper into the mechanism here, because understanding the mechanism is what transforms this from a comforting narrative about being special into a practical understanding of what is actually happening to you and what to do with it. There is a concept in physics called decoherence. It is the process by which a quantum system loses its coherence, its ability to exist in superposition through interaction with its environment. When a particle that exists in multiple states simultaneously begins to interact with the larger world around it, it decoheres. It appears to collapse into a single definite state. The other possibilities do not disappear, according to many interpretations, but they become inaccessible. They decohere into separate branches that can no longer interfere with each other. Decoherence is what makes the quantum world look classical. It is why your desk appears solid, even though it is mostly empty space vibrating at specific frequencies. It is why you experience one timeline, even though the math suggests many are possible. It is the mechanism by which infinite possibility narrows into specific experience. And here is what I want you to understand. The split that is happening in human consciousness right now is a decoherence event. The collective human field, which for centuries has maintained a kind of rough coherence, a shared set of assumptions about what is real, what matters, what is possible. That field is decohering. It is losing its ability to hold everyone in the same superposition. And as it decoheres, it is splitting into branches that are becoming increasingly unable to interfere with each other. This is why you feel the separation. This is why the gap between your inner experience and the world's apparent narrative keeps widening. This is why the news feels like it is describing a planet you do not live on. This is why old friendships are falling away without conflict, without drama, just a quiet fading, like two radio stations slowly drifting apart on the dial until one becomes static to the other. You are not imagining this. You are not being dramatic. You are experiencing a decoherence event from the inside. And the disorientation you feel is the natural sensation of a system that is no longer in superposition. You are collapsing into a specific branch. And the collapse is being determined not by external forces, not by governments or institutions or algorithms, but by the one thing that quantum mechanics has always said determines outcomes: observation, where you place your attention, what you choose to measure, what you consent to perceive. This is what it means to be chosen, not selected by a deity, not plucked from the masses by some cosmic hand, chosen in the way that a particle is chosen by measurement. The act of observation itself is the choosing. Your attention is the instrument, and the reality you are collapsing into is a direct function of what you have been willing to look at. Let me ground this further, because I do not want to lose you in abstraction. Let me describe what this actually looks like in the lived experience of someone going through it. There is a phase, and many of you are in it right now or have recently passed through it, where the familiar world starts to feel like a stage set. Not fake exactly, but thin, like you can almost see the scaffolding behind it. The things that used to motivate you, career advancement, social approval, accumulation, the endless optimization of your external life, those things do not stop existing, but they lose their gravitational pull. You still go through the motions sometimes, but there is a hollowness to it, a sense of performing a role that you have outgrown but have not yet replaced with anything else. If you've been doing everything right and reality still hasn't shifted, This is the one thing nobody has told you. You meditate, you visualize, you affirm every single morning, and still, somehow, the life you're calling in stays just out of reach. It is not your effort. It is not your mindset. There is something underneath all of it, quietly running the show. I am hosting a free live transmission where I walk you through exactly what that is and how to finally shift it at the root. The link to register is in the description below. Save your seat. The moment you see this, you will understand why you could not see it before. I want to pause here and ask you something. When did you first feel it? That moment when the old world started feeling thin, when the scaffolding became visible. I would love to hear your experience in the comments below. This is the interstitial phase, the space between branches, and it is deeply uncomfortable because the old reality is losing coherence but the new one has not yet solidified. You are in superposition, and the human nervous system was not designed to stay there comfortably. Everything in your biology is screaming at you to collapse, to pick a state, to land somewhere. And the temptation is enormous to collapse backward, to grab onto the old certainties, the old identities, the old ways of making meaning, because at least they are familiar, at least they are solid, at least they do not require you to tolerate this much groundlessness. But you cannot go back, and you know this. You know it in your body before you know it in your mind. The old branch has decohered. It is no longer accessible to you, not because it has been destroyed, but because you have lost coherence with it. You can no longer vibrate at that frequency. Trying to return to it is like trying to unhear a sound. The information has already changed you. The observation has already been made. The measurement has already occurred. And this is where the concept of being chosen starts to reveal its real meaning. Because the word chosen implies passivity, implies that something was done to you. But what actually happened is that you did something. You looked, you observed, you turned your attention towards something that most people are actively avoiding. And in that act of looking, you collapsed a wave function that cannot be uncollapsed. You chose, and the choosing chose you. It is not one or the other. It is both, simultaneously, the way a particle is both the thing that is measured and the thing that determines the measurement. I want to introduce another layer here, because this is where the conversation usually stays on the surface, and I want to take it somewhere it rarely goes. There is a phenomenon in quantum mechanics called the quantum Zeno effect. It was named after Zeno of Elea, the ancient Greek philosopher famous for his paradoxes about motion. The quantum Zeno effect demonstrates that a quantum system, if observed frequently enough, will not evolve. It will stay in its initial state. Continuous observation freezes it. The act of watching it prevents it from changing. This is counterintuitive. We usually think of observation as passive, as simply recording what is already happening. But in quantum mechanics, observation is an intervention. It does not just record the state, it locks it in. And the more frequently you observe, the more locked in the state becomes. Now apply this to the split. Apply this to the two branches of human consciousness I described. On one side, you have a population that is being continuously observed, continuously measured, by algorithmic systems designed to keep them in a fixed state. Social media feeds that confirm existing beliefs, news cycles that reinforce existing fears, digital environments that measure and respond to every micro-reaction, every click, every pause, every scroll. creating a feedback loop of continuous observation that, like the quantum Zeno effect, prevents evolution, prevents change, prevents the system from moving into a new state. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is the documented, published, openly discussed business model of attention economies. The mechanism is not hidden. It is the product. Keep the user in a known state. Measure them continuously. Prevent them from evolving. Because an evolving user is an unpredictable user, and unpredictable users are harder to monetize. And on the other side of the split, you have people who have, for whatever reason, stepped outside the continuous measurement. Maybe they had a crisis that broke the feedback loop. Maybe they had a moment of silence long enough for the wave function to start evolving again. Maybe they simply stopped looking at the screen long enough to notice that their inner state had been artificially frozen. Whatever the catalyst, they escaped the Zeno effect. They stopped being continuously observed by systems designed to keep them static. And the moment the observations stopped, the moment the measurement paused, they began to evolve, rapidly, irreversibly, into something that the old measurement system cannot even recognize, let alone capture. This is what happened to you. This is why you feel alien in spaces that used to feel like home. This is why conversations that used to flow now feel like speaking through glass. You escaped the Zeno effect. You are no longer frozen. You are evolving. And the systems that depend on frozen humans, the systems that profit from static consciousness, those systems cannot see you clearly anymore. You have moved outside their measurement apparatus. You have become, in a very real sense, invisible to the old world, while becoming increasingly visible to the new one. Sit with that for a moment, not as a concept, as a felt experience. Notice what happens in your body when you consider the possibility that you are not broken, not lost, not confused, but simply no longer measurable by the instruments that used to define you. Notice where that lands. Notice if there is relief there. Notice if there is grief. Both are appropriate. Both are true. Because here is what no one tells you about escaping the Zeno effect. It is not all liberation. There is a cost. The cost is legibility. The cost is that the world you left behind can no longer read you. Your family may not understand you. Your old friends may find you strange. Your previous ambitions may seem hollow, not because they were wrong, but because they belonged to a version of you that no longer exists. And there is a loneliness in that. A specific kind of loneliness that is different from isolation. It is the loneliness of being surrounded by people who are still in a reality you can remember but can no longer access. You love them. You do not feel superior to them, but you cannot reach them, and they cannot reach you. Because the branches have decohered. This loneliness is not a sign that something has gone wrong. It is a sign that the split is real. It is the felt experience of decoherence from the inside. And the only thing that eases it, the only thing that has ever eased it, is finding the others. The ones who are on your branch. The ones whose wave functions collapsed in the same direction. The ones who, when you speak, do not look at you like you are speaking another language, but instead exhale with the relief of finally being understood. Tell me in the comments, have you found any of these people yet? Those moments of recognition where someone just understood without you having to explain. I want to hear about those encounters. They are here. They are finding you. Not through algorithms, not through marketing, not through the mechanisms of the old world. They are finding you through resonance, through the same principle that governs quantum entanglement, where two particles that have interacted remain correlated regardless of distance, regardless of time, regardless of any apparent mechanism of communication. They just know. They respond to each other instantly, as though space itself is not a barrier, but a medium through which connection travels faster than light. This is what is happening now. The ones who have crossed over, the ones who have escaped the Zeno effect, the ones whose wave functions have collapsed into the new branch, they are entangling. They are finding each other not through seeking, but through being. Not through effort, but through frequency. And every time two of them meet, every time two of them recognize each other, the new branch becomes more coherent, more real, more stable, more capable of sustaining the kind of consciousness that the old world could not contain. I want to take this somewhere practical now, because understanding the mechanism is only half of the work. The other half is learning to navigate from within the branch you are already on. There is a practice that I want to walk you through, and it is specific to this understanding of the split. It is not a generic meditation. It is not a general instruction to raise your vibration. It is a precise attentional exercise designed to strengthen your coherence with the branch you have chosen. Or more accurately, the branch that has chosen you. Find your breath. Not the idea of your breath, the actual physical sensation of air entering your body right now. Feel it at the nostrils. Feel the slight coolness as it enters. Feel the slight warmth as it leaves. Do not change it. Just notice it. This is the most basic act of observation, and it is also the most powerful, because in this moment, you are choosing what to measure. You are choosing to measure your own aliveness rather than allowing an external system to measure you. You are reclaiming the instrument of observation. Now, with your breath as an anchor, I want you to notice something specific. Notice the quality of the silence underneath your thoughts. Not the absence of thought, because thoughts will continue, but the space that thoughts arise in, the background, the field. It has a quality, it has a texture, and that texture is different now than it was a year ago, or 5 years ago, or 10 years ago. It is wider, it is more spacious, it is less cluttered with urgency. This is not your imagination. This is the felt experience of having moved to a different branch. The silence itself has changed because you have changed, and the reality you are generating from that silence has changed with you. Stay there for a moment. Just notice the quality of your own inner silence, and as you notice it, recognize that this noticing is itself the act that maintains your coherence with the new branch. This is not passive. This is the most active thing you can do. Because in a reality determined by observation, the choice of what to observe is the choice of which world to inhabit. Now I want to address something that comes up for almost everyone who reaches this point in the process. It is the question of responsibility. If you are on a new branch, if you have crossed over, if the split is real, what do you owe the old world? What do you owe the people still on the other side? Is it your job to go back and wake them up? Is it your job to pull them across? Is it your job to stand at the edge of the divide and shout until they hear you? And the answer to this question is one of the hardest truths in this entire territory. No, it is not your job. Not because you do not care, not because they do not matter, but because the mechanism does not work that way. You cannot pull someone across a decoherence boundary through force of will. You cannot observe for someone else. You cannot collapse their wave function for them. The measurement has to be made by the system itself. The observation has to come from within. This does not mean you do nothing. It means you do the only thing that actually works. You become coherent. You stabilize your own frequency. You live from the new branch so fully, so authentically, so unapologetically, that your very existence becomes a kind of signal. Not a sermon, not a lecture, not an argument. A signal. A frequency that others can tune into when they are ready. When their own Zeno effect breaks. When their own continuous measurement pauses long enough for evolution to begin. If you are feeling the truth of this signal we have been tuning into, here is something I want to share. Have you spent years chasing manifestation, visualizing, affirming, raising your vibration, only to watch the same patterns repeat? Every traditional method assumes the same thing, that you are separate from what you want. That separation was never real. You were chasing a signal you were already broadcasting. Beyond the frequencies, a quantum guide to consciousness mastery walks through all 9 frequencies. From the dense transmissions trapping you, through the ascending currents, to the master frequencies where consciousness becomes the field. Every method you tried sent a signal outward. This one tunes the signal you already are. Every day you delay, your nervous system broadcasts the same old signal, and breaking free gets harder. So move on it tonight. The link is in the pinned comment below. Now let us return to how your coherence reshapes the field around you. There is a concept in biology called morphic resonance, proposed by Rupert Sheldrake. It suggests that when a critical mass of a species learns a new behavior, that behavior becomes easier for all members of the species to learn, even those with no direct contact with the original learners. The mechanism is not genetic. It is not mimicry. It is field-based. The information enters the morphic field of the species and becomes available to all members through resonance rather than transmission. Whether or not you accept Sheldrake's specific framework, the principle it points to is observable. Behaviors do spread in ways that cannot be explained purely by direct contact. Ideas do emerge simultaneously in unconnected populations. Breakthroughs do cluster in time in ways that suggest a shared field of possibility rather than isolated individual genius. This is what your coherence contributes to. Every time you stabilize in the new branch, every time you choose presence over reactivity, every time you observe your own inner state rather than allowing external systems to observe you, you are contributing to a morphic field. You are making it easier for the next person to cross. Not by pulling them, by being, by existing in a state that the field can propagate, by adding your signal to a frequency that is growing stronger every day. This is what it means when I say they are on your side. Not a vague, cosmic they. The field itself. The intelligence that underlies the split. The same intelligence that determined which branch you would land on based on where your attention was when the measurement occurred. That intelligence is not neutral. It has a direction. And the direction is toward greater coherence, greater complexity, greater capacity for consciousness to know itself through form. You are aligned with that direction. Not because you are better than anyone else, not because you earned it, but because your observation, your attention, your willingness to look at what most people are turning away from, placed you in resonance with the direction that reality itself is moving. You are not swimming against the current. You are the current, and the discomfort you feel is not resistance. It is velocity. Let me go deeper into something that I think is critically misunderstood about this process. The split is not a one-time event. It is not something that happened once and now you are safely on the right side. It is ongoing. It is fractal. It is happening at every scale simultaneously, from the global to the cellular. And within the new branch itself, there are further splits, further refinements, further decoherence events that will continue to narrow and clarify and purify the signal. This means that the groundlessness you feel is not temporary. It is the permanent condition of the branch you are on. The old branch offered solidity at the cost of evolution. The new branch offers evolution at the cost of solidity. You traded the comfort of a fixed reality for the vitality of a fluid one. And the fluid reality does not settle. It does not arrive at a final state. It keeps moving, keeps splitting, keeps asking you to release whatever you just grasped so that the next level of coherence can emerge. This is why the spiritual path, in every tradition that has honestly described it, is characterized not by increasing certainty, but by increasing comfort with uncertainty. The Zen masters did not arrive at answers. They arrived at the ability to live fully in the question. The mystics did not find God in a fixed location. They found God in the dissolving of every fixed location. The quantum physicists did not resolve the measurement problem. They learned to work within it, to use the indeterminacy itself as a tool rather than an obstacle. You are being asked to do the same thing. To stop waiting for the ground to solidify. To stop waiting for the new reality to become as fixed and predictable as the old one. To learn to move, to create, to love, to build, on ground that is always shifting. And to discover that this shifting ground is not a bug. It is the feature. It is what makes evolution possible. It is what makes you possible. There is a passage in the Tao Te Ching, the ancient Chinese text attributed to Lao Tzu, that speaks directly to this. It says that the Tao that can be named is not the eternal Tao. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. This is usually read as a statement about language, about the inadequacy of words to capture reality. And it is that. But it is also a statement about the split, the reality that can be fixed, named, pinned down, measured continuously. That is not the living reality. That is the Zeno frozen version. The living reality is the one that cannot be named because it will not hold still long enough to be named. It is the one that keeps splitting, keeps evolving, keeps becoming something that the previous name cannot contain. You are in the unnamed reality now, the one that does not fit in the old categories, the one that your previous identity cannot contain. And the disorientation of being here is identical to the disorientation that every mystic, every pioneer, every genuine creator has described throughout human history. It is the vertigo of the edge, the dizziness of the frontier, the nausea of the new. And it passes. Not because you find solid ground, but because you develop a new relationship with groundlessness. You learn to surf instead of stand. You learn to flow instead of fix. You learn that the absence of a floor is not a void, but an ocean, and that you have always known how to swim. You just forgot because the old world told you that standing was the only legitimate posture. I want to return now to the question of what this means practically, daily, in the texture of your actual life. Because the split is not just a cosmic event. It is showing up in your Tuesday afternoon. It is showing up in your relationships, your work, your sleep, your appetite, your energy, your sense of time. You may have noticed that time feels different, not metaphorically, physically different. Hours that used to drag now evaporate. Days that used to feel sequential now feel simultaneous, as though multiple timelines are running in parallel and you are aware of more than one of them. This is not a malfunction. This is what happens when consciousness expands beyond the linear measurement system it was previously confined to. Time is not changing. Your relationship to time is changing, and that relationship is a function of which branch you are on, because different branches have different temporal textures. The old branch, the Zeno frozen one, runs on clock time. Linear, sequential, scarce. The new branch runs on something closer to what the physicist David Bohm called the implicate order, a deeper reality in which time is not a line but a field, not a sequence but a simultaneity, not something you move through, but something that moves through you. Bohm spent the last decades of his life trying to articulate this. He had been a protege of Einstein, had made significant contributions to plasma physics and quantum theory, and then had turned his attention to the question that haunted him. Why does quantum mechanics suggest a reality so fundamentally different from the one we experience? His answer was the implicate order. He proposed that what we experience as separate events in space and time are actually expressions of a deeper, undivided wholeness, like waves on the surface of an ocean. The waves appear separate. They have different shapes, different sizes, different locations, but they are all expressions of the same water. They are all enfolded in the same depth. The split you are experiencing is a shift from the surface to the depth. From the explicate order, where things appear separate and sequential, to the implicate order, where everything is enfolded in everything else. And the disorientation of that shift is the disorientation of a wave that is beginning to remember it, is the ocean. It does not stop being a wave. It does not lose its shape, but it gains a context that changes the meaning of every shape it takes. This is why your old problems feel different now. Not because they have been solved, but because the context in which they exist has expanded. A problem that seemed enormous when you were a wave on the surface becomes manageable when you remember you are the ocean. Not because the problem shrank, but because you grew. And this growth is not an achievement. It is a remembering. It is the natural consequence of escaping the Zeno effect, of stepping outside the continuous measurement that kept you frozen in a state too small to contain what you actually are. Let me bring this to one more layer of specificity, because I want to address something that many of you are experiencing right now that you may not have language for. There is a phenomenon in the split that I can only describe as the echo. It works like this. You will be moving through your day, fully present, fully coherent with the new branch, and then suddenly, without warning, you will feel the old reality pull at you. Not as a thought, as a sensation, a heaviness in the chest, a contraction in the stomach, a sudden flood of fear or doubt or despair that has no apparent cause in your current circumstances. It feels like being grabbed by something invisible, like a hand reaching across the decoherence boundary to pull you back. This is not regression. This is not failure. This is the echo. It is the residual coherence you still have with the old branch, the quantum entanglement that has not yet fully dissolved. Because decoherence is not instantaneous, it is a process. And during that process, there are moments when the old branch and the new branch briefly interfere with each other, moments when the signals overlap, and you feel both realities simultaneously. The echo is one of those moments. The practice for the echo is specific and counterintuitive. Do not fight it. Do not try to raise your vibration. Do not try to think positive thoughts. Instead, observe it. Turn the full power of your attention toward the sensation without trying to change it. Measure it. Not with judgment, but with curiosity. Where is it in your body? What is its shape? What is its temperature? What is its texture? How large is it? Is it moving or still? By observing the echo with this level of specificity, you are doing something precise. You are applying measurement to the old signal, and measurement, as we have discussed, collapses wave functions. By observing the echo clearly, you are collapsing it, not suppressing it, not denying it, collapsing it into a definite state that can then be released, the way a wave that has been clearly seen can return to the ocean without resistance. This is different from ignoring the feeling. Ignoring it leaves it in superposition, leaves it undefined, leaves it free to interfere with your coherence at unpredictable moments. Observing it collapses it, gives it a definite form, and a definite form can be released in a way that an indefinite one cannot. Try this the next time the echo comes, and it will come. Not because you are doing something wrong, but because the decoherence is still in process. Each time you observe the echo and allow it to collapse, the residual coherence with the old branch weakens. The entanglement dissolves a little further. The signal clears, and you become more fully, more irreversibly, more stably located on the branch that your deepest attention has already chosen. Consider sharing this video with someone you know who has been going through this same disorientation, someone who has been feeling the split without having language for it. When you share these ideas, you are not just passing along information. You are extending the signal. You are adding coherence to the morphic field, creating a resonance between your awareness and theirs that strengthens both. That act of sharing itself becomes a point of observation that accelerates the crossing for both of you. There is one more thing I want to leave you with, and it is perhaps the most important thing in this entire conversation. The split has not chosen your side. You have chosen your side by the quality of your attention, and the fact that you are here, that you have listened this far, that something in these words is resonating not with your mind, but with a deeper knowing that lies below the mind. That fact is itself evidence of the choice you have already made. You are not waiting for permission. You are not waiting for confirmation. You are not waiting for the world to validate what you already know. The validation is in the knowing itself. The confirmation is in the resonance. The permission was never anyone else's to give. The global split is real. It is happening. It has been happening. And it will continue to happen. Not as a single dramatic event, but as an ongoing, fractal, ever-deepening process of decoherence and recoherence, of dissolution and emergence, of death and rebirth at every scale from the cellular to the civilizational. And you are not a bystander to this process. You are the process. You are the point of observation around which a new reality is collapsing into form. You are the measurement that the universe is making of itself through your specific, irreplaceable, unrepeatable point of view. The ones who are meant to find you will find you, not through your effort to be found, but through the signal you emit by being fully, unapologetically, coherently yourself. The field recognizes coherence. The field amplifies coherence. The field connects coherence to coherence across every apparent boundary of space and time and circumstance. They are on your side. Not because they chose you, because you are both expressions of the same deeper order, the same implicate wholeness, the same undivided intelligence that is using this split not to divide humanity, but to differentiate it. The way a seed splits not to destroy itself, but to become something that the seed alone could never contain. You are the becoming. The split is the opening, and the side you are on is the side of life itself, pressing forward into forms it has never taken before, through the only instrument it has ever had. Your attention, your observation, your willingness to look at what is actually here. Stay with that, not as a belief, as a practice, as a way of moving through every moment of every day on the branch that is already yours. The measurement has been made, the wave function has collapsed, and what has emerged is not what you expected. It is not what anyone expected. It is something that has never existed before, something that could only come into being through exactly the kind of split that you are living through right now. Trust the branch you are on. It is more real than the one you left, not because it is more comfortable, because it is more alive. And aliveness, in the end, is the only metric that the universe has ever used to measure its own success. You are here. You are coherent. You are becoming. And that is enough. That has always been enough. That will always be enough. Stay in the signal. The rest is already unfolding.